Some who were not born to die, whom age and disease could not touch, were slain. For Gil-galad was slain.
In the vastness of Middle-earth's history, where heroism is often eclipsed by horror, there lies a gallery of death so violent and tragic that it chills the soul. From the fiery wrath of dragons to the treachery of kin, these deaths are etched in blood and sorrow, each more horrifying than the last. As you traverse this macabre journey, ask yourself, what price is paid for power, vengeance, and despair in a world both beautiful and brutal? Here are the 6 most violent deaths in Middle-earth, each a testament to the devastating cost of its epic tales. Number 6. The first kinslaying at Alqualande. In the years of the trees, the first kinslaying at Alqualande, a tale of betrayal, bloodshed, and unspeakable horror, occurred. It began in the shimmering beauty of the elven city, where the Teleri, a peaceful and maritime folk, dwelt in harmony with the sea. Yet, even amongst the tranquility, a shadow stirred as the Noldor, driven by the burning oath of Feanor and consumed by the lust for the Silmarils, descended upon Alqualande. Under the command of Feanor and his sons, the Noldor sought passage from the lands of Aman, eager to confront Morgoth and reclaim what they believed to be rightfully theirs. However, the Teleri, guardians of the swan-shaped ships that could ferry them across the sea, refused to aid the Noldor in their quest. Enraged by this denial and consumed by the fire of their oath, Feanor and his followers unleashed their fury upon the unsuspecting Teleri. What followed was a scene of unimaginable carnage and treachery. The Noldor, wielding swords forged in the heart of their own strife, fell upon the Teleri with merciless abandon. Blood stained the shores of Alqualande as kin turned against kin, the clashing of swords drowning out the cries of the dying. Amidst the chaos, the swan ships, symbols of the Teleri's seafaring prowess, were set ablaze, casting an infernal glow upon the slaughter. The waters of Alqualande ran red with the blood of the fallen, and the screams of the dying echoed across the sea. Betrayed by those they once called kin, the Teleri faced an onslaught of unimaginable horror, their serene city transformed into a battlefield of death and despair. And as the flames of conflict subsided, the survivors were left to mourn their fallen brethren, their once proud city forever scarred by the stain of the first kinslaying. Number 5. Glaurung, father of dragons. In the shadowed ruins of Nargothrond, the tale of Glaurung, the father of dragons, found a violent and tragic end. This monstrous, wingless creature had long terrorized the lands with his fiery breath and cunning mind, leaving devastation in his wake. Yet, his reign of terror was destined to meet a brutal conclusion at the hands of Turin Turambar, a man whose fate was intertwined with the dragon's dark deeds. Turin, already marked by suffering and loss inflicted by Glaurung, sought vengeance. The dragon's lies had led to the fall of Nargothrond and driven Turin's sister, Ninor, into madness and amnesia. Blinded by rage and sorrow, Turin pursued Glaurung to the ravines of the river Teglin. There, hidden and waiting, Turin sprang upon Glaurung as the dragon crossed the river. With a mighty stroke of his black sword, Gurthang, Turin plunged the blade into Glaurung's vulnerable underbelly. The dragon's death was a scene of horrific violence. Glaurung thrashed and roared, his lifeblood gushing forth, scorching the earth with his fiery breath. His death cries echoed across the land, marking the end of his tyranny. Yet, Glaurung's cruelty extended beyond death. As he perished, the spell over Ninor broke, and she regained her memories, realizing the full horror of her and Turin's fate. This revelation drove her to despair, adding another layer of tragedy to the dragon's violent end. Thus, Glaurung's death, while a heroic moment, remained steeped in blood and sorrow, reflecting the relentless curse that haunted Turin's life. Number 4. Feanor. Few deaths in Middle-earth are as intensely dramatic and violent as that of Feanor, the fiery leader of the Noldor. Renowned for his unmatched skill and spirit, Feanor created the Silmarils, the most prized jewels in Arda. His relentless quest to reclaim these stolen treasures set in motion a series of events leading to his own brutal demise. After leading the Noldor's rebellious flight from Valinor, Feanor and his sons arrived in Middle-earth. Driven to reclaim the Silmarils from Morgoth, he crossed the Sundering Seas and the Helcaraxe, abandoned Fingolfin and his followers, burned most of the ships, and sailed to Lambeth. From there, they marched to Lake Mithrim near Angband, where Feanor's fate took a violent turn. In a sudden and savage attack, Morgoth's forces poured forth from Angband. Driven by fiery determination and pride, Feanor charged into battle, fighting with legendary ferocity and slaying countless orcs. However, his valor could not withstand Morgoth's might. Ambushed by Balrogs, including the powerful Gothmog, Feanor's fierce battle ended with incredible violence. Feanor was struck down by Gothmog, his body battered by fiery whips and great maces. Mortally wounded, he was carried from the battlefield by his sons. Even as death approached, Feanor's spirit blazed unquenched. He cursed Morgoth with his final breaths, swearing that his sons would continue his quest to reclaim the Silmarils. Feanor's death was intensely brutal, his unshakable spirit crushed by Morgoth's minions. Consumed by the fiery spirit within him, his body turned to ash upon death. His legacy of wrath and vengeance drove his kin into further bloodshed, marking his violent end as a testament to the fierce spirit shaping Middle-earth's dark history. Number 3. Gil-galad. Gil-galad was an elven king. Of him the harpers sadly sing, the last whose realm was fair and free between the mountains and the sea. His sword was long, his lance was keen, his shining helm afar was seen. The countless stars of heaven's field were mirrored in his silver shield. But long ago he rode away, and where he dwelleth none can say. For into darkness fell his star in Mordor, where the shadows are. In the tumult of the last alliance's climactic battle against Sauron, Gil-galad, the High King of the Elves, stood as a towering figure amidst the fray. His noble bearing and resolute demeanor were a beacon of hope for his allies, a symbol of defiance against the encroaching darkness. Yet, in the chaos of clashing swords and thunderous magic, Gil-galad found himself locked in a fateful duel with the Dark Lord himself. The clash between Gil-galad and Sauron was a spectacle of raw power and unyielding will. Each blow struck by the High King and his ally Elendil was met with an equal force of bitter cruelty from Sauron. The air crackled with their ethereal energies, illuminating the battlefield with bursts of blinding light. Despite his unmatched skill with his long sword and spear Eglos, Gil-galad soon found himself outmatched by the sheer potency of Sauron's dark sorcery. In a moment of cruel fate, Sauron's fiery hand reached out, engulfing Gil-galad in searing flames that consumed his noble form, ending his life in a blaze of agony at the hands of darkness incarnate. In that moment of searing pain and despair, Gil-galad's valiant struggle came to a tragic end. He crumbled beneath the weight of Sauron's burning heat, his once proud spirit consumed by the relentless evil of the Dark Lord. As his life ebbed away, the last echoes of his defiant spirit faded into the ether, leaving behind only the chilling certainty of his demise. Thus, among the carnage of battle, Gil-galad met his end in a blaze of agony and despair, his valiant sacrifice a testament to the unyielding resolve of the free peoples of Middle-earth in the face of overwhelming evil. Number 2. Fingon. Amidst the chaos of the Battle of Unnumbered Tears, Fingon, son of Fingolfin, found himself locked in a desperate struggle against the dread Balrogs, Morgoth's incarnate demons. In a heroic clash of wills and steel, Fingon fought with unwavering resolve, his sword a gleaming beacon among the shadows of war. However, in the tumult of battle, the Balrogs proved to be fearsome adversaries, their fiery whips and cruel maces raining down with relentless fury. Despite his valiant efforts, Fingon was gradually overwhelmed by the sheer ferocity of the Balrogs' assault. With every blow, his strength waned, his spirit battered by the relentless onslaught. In a final act of defiance, he stood his ground, his eyes ablaze even as the shadows closed in around him. Then, in a moment that seemed to stretch into eternity, Fingon confronted his foe, Gothmog, Lord of the Balrogs. Their clash was a frenzied dance of death as Fingon's blade met the black axe of his adversary. Yet, in a cruel twist of fate, another Balrog intervened, binding Fingon with a whip, rendering him helpless against the attack. As Gothmog's axe descended with lethal precision, Fingon's fate was sealed. The blow struck true, cleaving through armor and flesh alike, and Fingon fell, his ethereal body falling to the ground. But the cruelty did not end there. Surrounded by his tormentors, Fingon endured a savage barrage of blows, their maces raining down upon him until he lay broken and bloodied in the dust. In a final act of desecration, his banner, a symbol of his courage and valor, was torn from its pole and trampled into the mire of his blood, a grim testament to the brutality of war and the depths of Morgoth's vileness. Thus, in the carnage of battle, Fingon met his end in a scene of unrelenting violence, his sacrifice a haunting echo in Middle-earth's history. Number 1. Fingolfin. Driven by the relentless torment inflicted upon his kin and the enduring anguish that festered within his soul, Fingolfin, High King of the Noldor, confronted Morgoth, the Dark Enemy, in a dire duel of destiny. With every stroke of his blade, he sought to avenge the countless lives shattered by Morgoth's evil pride, each strike a searing testament to the unquenchable wrath that consumed him. But in the fury of their battle, Morgoth's treachery knew no bounds. With each crushing blow, he unleashed a tempest of savagery upon Fingolfin, his cruel mace, Grond, hammer of the underworld, carving a path of destruction through the High King's noble defenses. Though Fingolfin fought with unmatched valor, wounding his enemy several times, his efforts were but fleeting sparks against the engulfing darkness that emanated from Morgoth's very being. In a moment of harrowing clarity, Fingolfin's final strike found its mark, piercing Morgoth's foot with a grievous wound that would forever plague the Dark Lord with a haunting reminder of their titanic clash. Yet, even as victory seemed to tantalizingly linger within his grasp, Morgoth's terrible retribution was swift and merciless. With a fell stroke, Grond descended upon Fingolfin, shattering his regal body and casting him into the abyss of eternal darkness. The High King of the Noldor fell, his spirit unbroken but his body rent asunder by the unrelenting cruelty of his adversary. As Morgoth's wolves closed in, their hungry eyes gleaming with the promise of imminent demise, the King of Eagles, Thorondor, descended from the somber skies to bear Fingolfin's broken form to a place of fleeting respite. Thus, amidst the desolation and despair of their final confrontation, Fingolfin, High King of the Noldor, met his end in a scene of unparalleled tragedy and sorrow, his valiant sacrifice forever etched into Middle-earth's darkest hours. In the midst of these tales, one must ponder, in the face of darkness and adversity, what fuels the indomitable spirit of heroism and sacrifice. The violent deaths of Middle-earth's heroes and villains are not just moments of brutality, but pivotal events that shape the very fabric of this world. Each harrowing end, from Fingolfin's tragic duel with Morgoth to the savage slaying of kin at Alqualondë, underscores the relentless struggle between light and shadow. As we conclude this exploration of Middle-earth's most violent deaths, we are reminded of the profound impact of these sacrifices and conflicts. Yet, our journey through Tolkien's world is far from over. Countless stories and mysteries await. Join us as we continue to dig into these dark and captivating histories, keeping the legacy of Middle-earth vivid and alive for all who seek its wisdom and adventure. Let's keep the flame of Tolkien's imagination alive together, embarking on a journey of discovery and wonder that inspires generations to come. Subscribe to this channel and ring the notification bell to never miss an adventure.